let's go to the issues. First, what is indigenous knowledge? Indigenous knowledge is variously called as traditional knowledge, local knowledge, ethnic knowledge, folk knowledge, community knowledge, or popular knowledge. It is knowledge of regional ethnic groups, local people, villages, and communities of distinct landscape ecosystems like seacoast, plains, forests, hills, and so on. It is knowledge embedded in the umpteen microcultural traditions of a given territory. This is what I was referring to. This is about a situation where you don't consider complex societies integrating different groups, integrating communities into a hierarchical structure wherein the knowledge systems of the different groups and communities would occupy a subordinate position. When these communities, different groups are autonomously in their own landscape ecosystem, they follow their subsistence knowledge, their survival knowledge. There wouldn't be any intervention from the other. But when they are all incorporated as part of a complex society, then their knowledge system will get confined to their own life. Whereas there is a dominant system of knowledge, dominant form of knowledge, which will go into all these and absorb a lot from them, but that would standardize, textualize, and that would constitute the dominant form of knowledge. Now, the Brahmanical knowledge in India has to be understood as the dominant form of knowledge. What Sushruta or Charaka compiled as Samhitas, they drew lot of elements from the tribal people, from the Gopas and the Achapalakas, the cattle keepers and then the sheep farmers, Adavikas, people living in the forest. Charaka says that he collected knowledge about medicinal plants from the Ajapalas, the cattle keepers, the sheep farmers. Collected knowledge from the forest dwelling people, and he has listed about 1,000 plants with medicinal values. And also he advises that one should be going into the forest and seeing people and collecting information and so on. So it shows that the Samhita was not anything coming out of a Brahmana as bolt from the blue. Methodology is stated, source is stated in this Brahmanical text. Likewise, several Buddhist monks secretly went to places where cadavers were disposed by people who never followed the practice of burying or cremating the dead. Dead bodies were thrown out in the forested areas, and when people disappear, the relatives disappear, Buddhist monks would go there and they would study the dead body and then take note. That's how Buddhists generated knowledge about anatomy, physiology, and so on. And the Buddhist interest was to relieve people from dukkha, from suffering. And for that, there would be two causes, the Adi and the Vyadhi. Vyadhi will have to be treated by medicine, and Adi will have to be treated with counsel. Injunctions will have to be given, pieces of advice will have to be given. So they worked hard to serve people like that. What is interesting for us is the genuine interest, we can say scientific spirit, shown by the monks in generating knowledge at the site proper. In situ production of knowledge. In the process, you will find on the one side constitution of samhitas and then Samhitas getting interpretations in the form of Vyakhyas, and Vyakhyas getting commented upon as Bhashyas, and there are Sangrahas of knowledge. So these are all strategies used for textualization. The dominant form of knowledge always had a textual form, but knowledge certainly was drawn also, I would say also, from the local people, tribals and pastoralists and so on. But studying this, that is the scientific spirit. In the local tradition, you will find only practice, accepted religiously and then prescribed and then again religiously followed. But people who really mastered things scientifically had a different insight. This is the story of Jivaka, the physician of Buddha, is quite illustrative. Jivaka studied in Takshashila University, and he had completed his 6th year there. And then the message came from the ruler of Magadha saying that Vishuchika is spreading everywhere and people are dying. There is no treatment. It's now we know Vishuchika means typhoid, but typhoid was something very serious in those days and people were dying. King was saying that you send back Jivaka, I cannot wait anymore, we need his service here. Then the Vice Chancellor of Takshashila University, the Mahacharya, called Jivaka and told him that he should be prepared to leave the institution after completing the final test. And the final test was going out collecting some plants having no medicinal value. That was the test. Along with him, some 7 students had joined the institution, they were also sent. Next day, early morning, Jivaka went out and his friends also in different directions. Friends returned in an hour. That is the time. So they came back in an hour collecting sack full of plants without medicinal value. Jivaka returned late in the evening, crestfallen. He went straight to the Mahacharya and told him, Acharya, I need one more day. I was not able to collect a plant today. Okay, you are given time. Then next day, he started very early, and then once again he returned empty-handed, saying that no, I am not able to see a plant. And Mahacharya told him, okay, you can get ready to leave the institution tomorrow morning. Let your friends study for another 6 years in the university. And while taking leave, Mahacharya asked a personal question to Jivaka. Jivaka, look, you are saying that you were not able to see plants without medicinal value in such a big distance you covered in 2 days. How do you understand this? Then Jivaka looked at the eyes of Mahacharya and with a lot of embarrassment said, plants speak to me, amantranam, that is, each plant whispers to me that I have medicinal value. This is only a metaphorical way of communicating the arrived level of knowledge, the profound understanding of something, acquisition of knowledge to the slum or the bottom. Knowing something with that kind of thoroughness is what traditional pedagogy expected. Traditional teaching expected that. It's part of our topic. Jivaka exemplifies this. You learn something to a level where you become an accomplished person and you do not know how knowledge occurs to you. Just looking at a plant Jivaka is able to recognize, yes, it has this medicinal property, it is useful. This kind of an inscrutably hidden mode of communication takes place between the learner and the object of analysis. This may be true in the case of any scientist. Many scientists make discoveries through insights. It's not always always through a kind of linear procedure. Procedures were always there, but as a fleeting insight is changing the entire thing, and then suddenly there is a major discovery. Suddenly there is a major invention. Either in the case of invention science or in the case of discovery science, always insight factor. That may be showing only a certain level of understanding, and traditional teaching always focused. On the one side, you have great respect for the Guru in the Gurukula system, and the Guru's text is interpreted by the disciple. Interpretation would involve addition of knowledge. Vyakhya. A student is asked to do a Vyakhya, interpretation of the text. But Vyakhya is not just interpretation of an ordinary level, but expansion of knowledge, which involve production of new knowledge. Sometimes a Vyakhya would even involve strikingly fresh knowledge. This aspect is there, and you should know the difference between local knowledge, which is ethnographically given, and then the knowledge compiled, textualized, and evolved further through the series of taxons I have been referring to, like the Vyakhya, the Bhashya, the Sangraha, the Samhita, and so on. All these taxons are indicating different levels of textualization. But when you talk about local knowledge, this is totally different. It is a practice knowledge combined, followed by the people. They would certainly involve knowledge, they would certainly involve a lot of insights, but it will be difficult for a teacher to teach local knowledge straight away, unless the task is just to speak about anthropological practices by way of healthcare, or sociological practices by way of healthcare.